to accomplish today. It goes back to what we talked at the beginning of the day, that inclusion's not enough. That having affinity groups and employee resource group engagement, it's great, it's not enough. How do they become central parts of driving core business initiatives? How do these ERGs, let's get the acronym straight, really serve a purpose beyond its initial purpose? And so I laid out a few questions, and again, nothing structured. They were given a chance to look over them and provide their perspectives. And so we're going to really break this down into two things. ERGs, the current situation, and then ERGs, the future. You guys ready? Okay. The first question is, how would you best characterize the state of ERGs in your company and amongst Fortune 500 companies as a whole? Why do you believe it is so difficult to optimize engagement? What are the primary obstacles that ERGs face, and why are they so difficult to overcome? How many of us can relate to that? Tisa, fire away. You got the mic.
I got the mic, that's right. Well, I will tell you, ERGs, I think, are an extremely important engagement model, but unfortunately, we don't typically use them that way. I'm pretty pragmatic in terms of my approach, and one of the reasons why I think ERGs are not as successful is because I think we're still struggling as a function to evolve. In most companies, I think we're still focusing, or really I should say functioning, as affirmative action with, some other characteristics. And thus it's not really surprising that ERGs have not evolved any further, because our overall initiatives and efforts have not. It is also, I think, a challenge in terms of making sure we have the right leaders actually managing these groups. They should be functioning as mini businesses. I say there are many departments, and very often the leaders might be those who are most liked or energetic, or frankly just willing to take it on. But we don't really look at the criteria and the characteristics of the leaders to really create a true business plan. And very often we will end up with an activity calendar versus a business plan that really, hits to the heart of what this summit is about, innovation. And I think we need to pause and really go back to the drawing boards as to what they can really do for us and make sure we proceed accordingly.
Let's talk a little bit about this. I'm going to push back. We said we're going to have a very interactive session here. So you mentioned not having the right types of leaders. Elaborate. And don't be politically correct. This is a summit.
Well, I think one is we need to ensure that our leaders, in my opinion, are really committed to inclusion. And I say that because really a lot of the conversation we had today, which is you pointed out that you've reached out to other communities to learn from their mistakes, to learn about how they were able to attain their successes. And in all honesty, I have this love-hate relationship with ERGs. I think they can be very powerful, but I think sometimes we can function in a vacuum. Meaning if this is the ERG for women, then it's only women. And the assumption is only women care about the advancement. I think we need leaders who see the bigger picture, who see the needs of that particular population that group is focused on serving, but who can also see, again, what the bigger picture is in order to help lead them there. Otherwise, it really won't happen. It starts with the leaders.
Very good, thank you. Luis, your thoughts on ERGs and the challenges that we face and the difficulty in optimizing their engagement?
Let me focus on the leadership once again, because what happens with most of these managers is another part-time job. And so they have to make time, they got to have an invested interest in making this happen for the company. Let me share with you a discussion I had with Jesse Jackson 3 years ago on this very same subject. They did a research and they asked the managers who were heading up ERG organizations in different companies, they asked them, did you volunteer or were you asked to do this? 95% said I was mandated to do it, which means they had no option. So they have no passion. So therefore the program can never succeed. In the case of IBM, we are a big company, so we have 50 plus offices throughout the U.S. It's hard to have one ERG, so we have multiple locations. Some of them are better than others, and I'll be honest with you, it goes back to the leadership. Those who are really passionate about growing and having a plan are the most successful ones. I think you hit on the mark when you said, hey, if this becomes an activity calendar, who cares? Employees stop going because they can't see the benefit. So I think the real issue is leadership, to be honest with you. What's the agenda?
Shante, I know you're dealing with these things every day.
Absolutely, and I would say that depending on where a company is and their dynamics, if they're in an infancy of creating employee resource groups, or if they've been around for a while, it really does depend on the level of leadership that we're referring to, because we do need a strong balance between those individuals that volunteer, that are absolutely passionate about the cause, equally need those individuals that may be appointed to provide that strategic direction that I think quite often the employee resource groups lack. I see, ERGs as being an extension of the Human Resources Department. Quite often they are created out of HR diversity and not with, I think, a combination of the business leaders bought into why we need them to be created. Therefore, there is a calendar of activities. Therefore, there is, not really operating as employee resource groups or really interest groups. And so I think the opportunity to kind of put a kibosh on that is to really go back to the drawing board with the leaders within the company, along with the representatives within human resources, to really map out why they should be business resource groups, and why they should be not just an extension of human resources or the diversity group, but really a strategic added value to the business overall. And so I think you will need those individuals that are passionate, they're volunteers. I think you do need to appoint individuals that are high potential performing individuals within particular respective within business functions, and give them an opportunity to lead and to really be a part of what we're talking about, the think tank, because you do need those individuals that have that experience and that strategy that they can bring to the table.
Great insights. Great insights. Andrea?
Challenges. Right, because we're talking about challenges.
Yeah, I'll repeat it.
No.
Okay.
Challenges. Okay.
She didn't want me to throw with something else.
You always have to look at your particular organization first, right? What are your business goals overall? What does the organization do? What are your core competencies? And then you need to be able to link what you do in your core functions with the purpose and goals for the ERGs. If you are not aligned strategically, then your ERGs are basically a really great idea where people of like mind get together and they do good stuff. But if you really want to put the pedal to the metal, I don't know an analogy, you really have to have that alignment, because otherwise you run primarily on the passion of the people involved. And what tends to happen is that the people who are the leaders of the different ERGs burn out